In today's build, I'm going to show you how to make honeycomb shelves. This particular shelf was made out of walnut for a client of mine who was looking for a unique way to display their coffee mug collection. And their reaction was... So the wood that I decided to use today was some real rough cut walnut. It's light, it's great. That I actually got for free from a lady who had been storing it in her basement for 20 or more years. All it had been doing was collecting dust in her basement, but that's a story for another time. First, we're going to cut them down to a more manageable size, and then we're going to take them over to the planer to surface both faces of each board. We're going to use the planer to ensure that each board is a uniform thickness, along with removing any of the rough cuts from the sawmill. I know I teased a little bit earlier about how this wood came into my possession, but I'm pretty sure I'm the first person to handle this wood in the last 20 years. And I can tell because it looks like this wood went from the tree, to the mill, to this lady's basement, and nowhere else in between. And knowing all that, I was excited to see the beauty of this wood after all the cleanup. With both faces surfaced through the planer, we're going to move on to the table saw to square up one edge of each board. And to do that, we're going to use my straight edge jig. I made it a while back, and it's really just a piece of plywood and a 2x4, but it gets the job done. So this jig essentially just gives me a line to follow that shows me exactly what's going to be cut off of each board. The plywood is flush with the blade, and so as you push through, the plywood stays right on the blade, and that's what gets cut off. To use the jig, I'm going to place a 1/4 inch or less past the edge of the plywood. Then we're going to make a pass through the table saw, and this is going to ensure a nice clean square cut edge that we'll use to ride along the fence of the table saw.
Cut that curve out of there. That's how curvy that board was.
With our one clean square cut edge, we're going to go back to the table saw and we're going to cut each piece down to 5 inches. I chose 5 inches because when I was designing this shelf, I found my largest mug and that was 5 inches. So I wanted to make sure that each of their mugs potentially, if it's a 5-inch mug or a smaller mug, is going to fit. So if you're considering making any honeycomb shelves, make sure you measure the biggest of whatever you want to put on the shelves before you start building, and you're going to thank yourself later. With each piece cut down to 5 inches, we're going to move on to cutting the pieces that we'll use for the backs of some of the honeycombs. When coming up with the design, I needed a way to hide the cleats that I would be using to hang the shelf. So to do that, I decided I was going to put a back on a few of the honeycombs. You'll see the cleats later on in the video when we go to install this shelf. Spoiler alert, they worked really well. Like I said, this wood had been sitting in this woman's basement for 20 years or more, and some of the wood was not as usable as the others. This piece clearly had some rotten decay going on, so we're just going to cut that off. I'm going to take a quick look at the plans to make sure that each piece is cut to the correct size. I know I've mentioned this in previous videos, but I can't stress enough how nice it is to have a set of plans or an image close by. It's just great to have a reference when you're getting the more detailed parts of each project. Especially with a project like this, because if one honeycomb is off, then every honeycomb is going to be off, which is going to make for a not so perfect honeycomb shelf for our mugs to sit nice and flat. Going forward, if I was to make this kind of a shelf again, I would probably cut each piece to 1 inch or 2 longer than their finished cut size, and then I would cut the angles on it. As you can see in this clip here, cutting the long pieces, it doesn't exactly stay flat, which means that the angle could be off, just enough to throw the whole thing off. So something to keep in mind, because this could compound into a big issue if you're doing this yourself. After the angle had been set, I had to make that cut 126 times. 21 honeycombs, 6 sides apiece, 126 pieces later. With each piece cut, we're going to move on to the bandsaw to resaw the back pieces for some of the honeycombs that's going to be used to hide the cleats. The reason we're going to resaw these pieces is so that we don't have to make such a deep rabbet when we're making the backs of these honeycombs, which is the next step to the build, which is going to be to put a rabbet on one edge of some of the honeycomb pieces. To make the rabbets, we're going to use an 8-inch dado stack blade. In the past, I have had issues using dado blades on table saws, but with this newer table saw, it tends to stay rock solid exactly where I need it to be. From my experience, if you're removing too much meat with a dado blade, it tends to put a lot of pressure on the blade, which makes it so it gradually lowers itself, which makes your dado or rabbet cut not uniform all the way through, which is super annoying because then your pieces aren't going to go together correctly. That's why I can say with full confidence that I enjoy using a dado stack on this table saw. I've had no issues up to this point. Yet. With all the rabbets cut, we're going to move on to cutting the backs to their shape using my hexagon jig. I made this jig a really long time ago and it seems to still hold up. You can adjust it from a 2-inch hexagon all the way up to like a 2-foot hexagon, which makes this jig very versatile for any project that requires a hexagon. And it was really easy to make. So if you'd like to know how to make a hexagon jig, let me know, and maybe we'll make a video of it sometime down the road. With all the back pieces cut to their hexagon shape, we now have all the pieces cut to their desired size. We're going to move on to the drum sander for a quick sanding. And when I say quick, I mean 30 minutes for me and 30 seconds for you. For this shelf, we have 10 honeycombs without backs and 11 with the backs. The assembly of each is about the same. The only difference is the ones with the backs have rabbets and the ones without don't.
We're gonna nail it together.
A lot of the surfaces on this project are going to be hidden, so using nails is not going to be an issue. I'm going to use nails and glue to ensure extra strength, just in case my client wants to hang anything other than a coffee mug. While I started the project off using an 18 gauge finish nailer, I finished it off using a tiny 23 gauge pin nailer. Anytime that I use this tiny pin nailer, all I hear in my head is pew 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 pew, little Star Wars shots. That's it. Basically, I feel like I'm in a Star Wars movie whenever I use this gun. It's fun for me. Leave me alone. So if you also play sound effects in your head when you're using some of your tools, go ahead and give this video a like, because you are one of the cool ones. With all the honeycombs assembled, we're going to move on to arranging them into their desired positions in order to complete the final assembly.
Now this is where everything's gonna have to start coming together. Nice.
The final assembly for this includes gluing, clamping, nailing, gluing, clamping, nailing. Then you repeat the process until everything has been attached.
Smooth. So that one's that way, that one's that way, that one's vertical, so this way.
For the sheer size of this shelf, I had to make it into 2 pieces. The purpose of the 2 pieces is for transportation and weight. One solid shelf is just going to be too heavy for me to handle myself. Also, having 2 pieces is just easier to transport to the client. However, once it's installed, it should look like one solid honeycomb shelf, which is the vision that I had in mind. With all the honeycombs attached, we're going to move on to adding a little bit of wood filler on any nails or imperfections in the wood. This is going to help just make it look that much better. When it's a client's project, you always want to go above and beyond. And it's always the little things that matter in the end. For most projects, as most of you know, I don't enjoy sanding at all. But sometimes sanding is very therapeutic. And this was one of those jobs. I really enjoyed sanding this one. I got really into it, made sure that every little thing was addressed and taken care of before it went to install. To get into all the tight corners of each of these honeycombs, I used a detail sander. Along with the detail sander, all the tools that I used in this video today will be linked in the description down below. With all the sanding complete, we're going to take the project over to another area to dust it all off and get it ready for finish. We're going to use a clear satin lacquer finish for this project. Fun fact, I learned this from a painter buddy of mine. If you have any new can of finish, poke a hole in the ring on the top. These holes will allow any excess lacquer to drain back into the can, and then it'll make it so that the lid will fit forever. After applying the finish, I went for another round of sanding to ensure the smoothest possible project before I delivered and installed the shelves in my client's home. The tools that I used to install this shelf were really simple. We have a drill, an impact driver, we have some drywall anchors, a level, and some screws. So long before you start building, you should make sure that you have the proper measurements before you start any project. And here, I'm just double checking my numbers to make sure that this project is gonna still fit the way that I designed it. To hang this shelf on the wall, I'm using French cleats. And to make sure that the cleats line up on the wall, I made this little template. This template is a guide to make sure that all the holes line up properly when I mount the cleats to the wall. Once the template was in place, I used the impact driver to drive a screw in the top right corner, leveled it off, and installed one more screw on the other side to lock it in place. With the template in place, I went back and I drilled out all the remaining holes for all the French cleats. With all the holes in place, I went through and installed the drywall anchors and any of the holes that would allow it. The drywall anchors allow for a strong hold when there's no stud behind the wall. Studs are ideal when hanging any sort of shelf, but sometimes you're just not going to hit a stud with the design or the shape or the style of whatever shelf you're using. So in those cases, that's where the drywall anchors comes into play. These are no drill drywall anchors. Once they're installed and you place a screw through them, they make an audible pop noise to know that you are secured to your drywall. With all the anchors in place, we're going to move on to hanging our cleats. With the way that all these cleats are arranged, once the shelf is hung, all of the cleats will be hidden by the honeycombs with a back. This will give the illusion of the honeycomb floating shelves. With all the cleats hung, it's time to see if the first shelf fits. With the first honeycomb shelf piece attached, we're going to move on to hanging the second honeycomb piece and see how it lines up. In the process of hanging that, I noticed that they weren't lining up as perfect as I wanted. This is a great example of how you should really assess the area in which you're installing your projects before the install date. If I would have taken just a little bit more time, I would have noticed that his wall had a slight bow to it, but since I wasn't aware of that problem, I had to do a little bit of rigging to make this project fit the way that I wanted it to. So in order to fix the bend in the wall, I had to shim out the top cleat just a little bit off the wall to make sure that the shelves aligned properly. After a few minor adjustments, my two honeycomb pieces aligned for a perfect fit. With the pieces aligned, we added one more screw to make them one whole honeycomb shelf piece. I always try and remember to bring a microfiber and some wood polish to go over the piece one last time after the install. I also like to bring a shop vac with to make sure I clean up any mess that I make at a client's house. This not only shows that I take pride in my work, but it shows that I respect my client's home. And now it's time for one of the best parts of the job, seeing the client's reaction.
Get one more in that bottom corner. Dude, look good?
So after my client Jason's initial reaction to the shelf, I was able to show him exactly how it was installed, just in case he ever has to take it off the wall.
Yeah, buddy, no worries. All right, man. Thank you.
So be sure to let me know if you want to see how a hexagon cutting jig is made. But until then, click the video linked on screen here where I make a crosscut sled that you'll actually want to use. As always, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.